Vesuvius Town Council, Monday, March the 5th, 2012, 2:00 p.m. in Vesuvius Town Council chambers. I'd just like to mention that Councillor McCordoff will not be at this meeting. She is absent from town during this period. And the second item I'd like to mention is right here, Hockeyville, Craft Hockeyville, Vesuvius, the town of Vesuvius is one of the 15 finalists. Very, very exciting for the town. Now we are into the voting process. It's open right now at online right there, and the 1-800 number down below. Please phone in, vote for Vesuvius, 15 communities in Canada. After this, it'll go down to the next five. Four of those communities will take home $25,000 for their arena, and the finalist takes home $100,000 for arena upgrades and hosts a pre-season, pre-league game in the town. So very, very exciting. It's all done by ballot. You go online, and it's pretty well straightforward. The prompts are very, very easy, and you can vote as many times as you want. I thought I was doing a lot at 50. There's people out there that have voted 300 times already since it opened on Saturday night. If you're doing a dial-in down below there on the 1-800, you dial in, you get a message. It asks for a number prompt, and you hit 14, which is the number for Vesuvius. And then there is a closing off number to verify your vote at the end, and it's usually 80-something, 84. I've had them all, but they all started with 8. So that's how you close it off. Please vote. It would really, really be great if Vesuvius was one of the finalists, and if we won the whole shebang, how great would that be? So that there's quite a little buzz on in the town, and I hope that it's successful for us. Okay, the next item of business would be the adoption of minutes. We're going to look at adopting items 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that would be Committee of the Whole minutes from February the 16th, Committee of the Whole from February the 17th, Committee of the Whole from February the 20th, and regular open minutes from February the 20th, 2012. Any information on that? Those will be adopted by consensus. Under B minutes number 5, special open minutes, I believe there is a correction on that. Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'd like to ask that motion 389/12 in the first item of business on the marine operations be changed to indicate that I voted against that motion.
Okay, thank you. We have that noted. Thank you very much. A motion to adopt as corrected, please. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Plant. Discussion, all in favor, opposed, carried. They have been adopted as corrected. Business arising from prior minutes. There was a resolution from the special closed meeting of February the 5th. Do you have that, Mr. Romanko? Great, thank you.
It was moved and seconded that the health and wellness policy be changed to provide free Sonora Center fitness use for employees and firefighters only.
Thank you. So this was a change to our bylaw. There had been some input from some of the residents and business people in town about our bylaw on use of the Sonora facilities. So we have cut that back a bit and streamlined that. So that is now a public item. Thank you. Under D, introduction of late items, there has been an application to appear as a delegation to council, and this was on behalf of Cantor Holdings and the Terry Youssef Estate concerning lots 4, 5, Plan 2450S, 7609 Spartan Drive and 7611 Spartan Drive. So because it was beyond the cutoff date, this needs council approval to appear as an agenda item. Council's wishes. Council Rhodes, please.
I'll move that we accept the request.
and seconder, Councillor Plant. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. That now becomes a part of the agenda. And moving into item E, delegations. Ms. Youngbird, that would be you. Right now. Sorry.
All right. I just wanted to let council know that I have authorization from the trustee of the estate to appear
Okay.
on behalf of both those properties. And do you require them for your?
We could always receive it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And I'm sure that everybody, since I've been at this for a few weeks, has members of council got their submission that I sent out to them, was the map and the 2 pages. If you don't, I have other copies here. And do you, okay? Do you have one, Barry?
No. Thank you.
And here's one.
Yes, I do.
Stu?
I'll take one. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just made that minute.
Yeah, perfect.
Water councillors want one? No. Thank you very much, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to do this presentation and just clear the air with regarding some of the discussions that we've been having over the last couple of 3 weeks. And what the topic is all about is there is a plan being prepared and out for tender regarding the parking lot that is the back portion of lots 4 and 5. And the plan was presented to me not from planning as such. It just came as an concerned individual and presented me with plans saying, did you know that this was happening? And so it comes to me as a real great surprise that the actual engineer and the Waterfront Steering Committee didn't contact us to let us know that these plans were now becoming formalized. We received notice from planning in 202 that said that they were no longer allowing us to have access to the property. So we attended planning, and I believe at that time it was Dennis Tomlin that we spoke with, and Mark Chadsey was the secretary at that time. We discussed our concerns about how we were going to access and continue the business from the building, and they just said, don't worry about it at this point in time. No committee has been formed, no formal drawings have been done. And so when this takes place, you will absolutely be notified and consulted regarding the use of that property. We really didn't think anything more of it because that's more or less after 53 years of the Yusups living here and almost 37 years of me living here. That's the kind of relationship that we all have had with the town of Osoyoos regarding different properties that I've developed and that I own in town. So when there was no discussion and we had been told by planning that it's a little late to discuss this because we are going to tender with this. And yes, after it goes to tender, there would be an allowance for some changes. However, the consultant and planning would definitely have to visit the site and decide if there was any possible way that this could be changed. So referring to the map at the back of my outline of some of the reasons that I'll talk about for a minute is the plan, and it's clear that you can see that there is a black solid line right across the back of the property, and that black solid line is a concrete wall that will prevent any access to the back of that property. So my request to planning was, would you be able to contact the consultant and try to see if there's any way that we could get access. Access would be considered a temporary basis because, of course, as everybody knows, I am quite sure that 50 to 60-year-old buildings sitting on sites are going to be developed at some point in time. And I think everybody in planning and building know that the time to pull those buildings down certainly isn't today, because I'm not sure what we would do with it, because there's little commercial market at the moment and very little residential market in that site, since we have 2 white sand condos that have been for sale for quite some time. So, having said that, I am just really concerned that, number one, we haven't been given any notice to do anything with the third component of Lot 5. And the third component is a shop that's about approximately 2,000 square feet and has been used for a brush manufacturing plant, of which closed down in 2002. Since then, we've got brushes and blocks and fiber and handles and things like that that we sell to the Lower Mainland brush plants, because they're obsolete items that they use for particular orders that they might want to put forward. We also have a number of donation items that we collected for a certain political party in town, and the shop is full. And to think that we are going to be able to remove all of this stuff in a period of 4 to 6 weeks, which is the time frame of development, is impossible. And I have no idea how I would get that stuff out of the building. And secondly, there's no access to that floor, to that particular third component from the top floor. So the only access that would be provided, looking at these plans, would be to walk through Lot 4 down to the back of the property to access the door. There is no access internally. So we then, if this plan goes forward, would have to get the owner of number 4, and at this point in time it's the state, to give Cantor Holdings the access through Lot 4 to Lot 5. Now, we certainly wouldn't mind doing that if that was off of the back parking lot, and I know from True Consulting that we would be giving up 1 parking stall, at least, he said. Now, there's a possibility there, that little sort of V at the back of number 4, that there could be something, organized there. So when they met with me at the site, there were several ideas tossed around about possibly, if in fact council and planning agreed, we could get a little bit of a gate at the back that would be locked at all times other than when we needed it to access, and Lot 4 would have to give Lot 5 the access, an easement across that lot, because that vehicle, whatever it would be, would drive across. Now, if we had just an unwritten agreement at the moment with the lawyers that are handling both pieces of property, I'm sure that would be all right. But it doesn't solve the problem that we have, that there's no access to that bottom property from the building. It's always been from the back. That's not inconceivable, but it certainly can't happen in 4 to 6 weeks. We have to blow a hole in the floor and create a stairwell down there in order to do anything with it. So that's the dilemma that we have with the property. And like I say, myself, True Consulting, and planning have discussed a few options. But planning has taken the stance that, I've got to discuss this with council, and I've got to get some feelings from everybody and decide how we're going to handle this issue. And the couple of things that really I think are really important for everybody to understand, that we just hate animosity in town, and we really are all working towards trying to get along and do things together. And when planning or the consultant or the committees come out, and I'm not blaming anybody specifically, it's just an oversight, I know, because Terry was very sick, and maybe that's the reason, because this plan was prepared in October of 2011, and that is when he was almost the sickest. So it just created a real problem, because had somebody come and sat down with us and spoke to us about what was going on, there would have been a compromise made, I know for sure, because we would have assisted and tried to help in the short term. That's number one. And number two, I think that the property is zoned commercial. There's no garbage pickup access. So I have no idea what all three of those people are going to do with their garbage, other than take it home. Because the bin, there's no place for the bin, because it's zero lot line development, and as I said, you know, the only access would be through lot 4 to the back, unless True Consulting come up with an idea of how to position the can there. The bin. The second thing is of course, I believe that all commercially zoned property needs to provide parking. And so now you have yourself in a situation where there is going to be between 6 and 8 vehicles at all times parked on the street in the summer by White Sands, because that's where the overflow did park last year, because not all of them fit down below, because they did use the back part of that parking, which was in front of lot 4 and in front of lot 5. And there were at times between 5 and 6 vehicles down there at that time. So because it now becomes non-conforming, because the wall will go up and there is no parking being provided by lot 5, that's a non-conforming commercial use under the bylaw that I read. There's a viable business operating out of the back portion of the building that certainly over a period of time we know can be changed, and that was the total understanding from the beginning. Had we been notified by the committee, by planning, by whoever else would be involved, we would have downsized the operation and tried to make some arrangements to make sure that we would conform with whatever compromise we would have made with the consultant at the time. We don't have that opportunity. And I just know that the town likes to see development because it increases the tax base, and we're by all means interested in doing something like that. And of course, one of the plans that we'd put together in 2006 was based on the actual concept with commercial at the bottom and the commercial having access out to the parking lot, which we knew would be existing one day, and down to the beach. That will not be possible with the plans that are now in place without modification at the time the development plans are filed. So we also have been involved previously, years past, in grandfathering, and I would like to make my request to council that they think about some sort of a solution, if people would like to meet with me to come up with some sort of a solution, but that whatever solution is, that we're permitted to use that property from the back somehow until such time as we can change the use of the building. And a grandfathering clause might be applicable just for that property. And I realize that this sounds like it might be a special request, but I viewed several commercial properties in Osoyoos, and I don't see one without an access from the rear. And I understand that the waterfront development has no access from the front, meaning, to me, the lake. And I understand White Sands has only a walkway, Watermark only has a walkway. There's underground parking at both locations. But I'd just like to remind you that there was nothing on those properties before they were developed except an old packing house. And so we're not talking about something existing, such as our property. And I say our liberally because I'm not the owners at the moment. And I thank you very much, and I hope that you can give me some direction. That's what I'm asking for, other than to say, no, we're going to stick with our plan. I totally cannot live with that because I don't know what I'm going to do with everything in the building. Okay?
Great,
Thank
thanks, Ms. Youngberg. You can maybe stay up there. There might be a few questions if you just could for a minute, please. And I guess it's always tough when, you know, like the land is park land and it's going to be a parking lot. So there probably is a chance that it's, you know, it's not closed off forever. You know, we can start looking at that. I don't know who can help me on that because I've gone down and looked at the site a couple of times. one of them being yesterday. How high is that wall going to be? Do we know how, like in that top corner, it's the highest point of land there. Do we know that, Mr. Romanko?
I'm told that, excuse me, that wall will be about 4 feet at its highest.
At its highest?
Yeah,
4 feet.
and that would be in behind Lot 5.
So there would be the ability to move stuff into pickup trucks or...
Well,
trying to think.
usually there would be bumpers that would prevent vehicles from coming close to the
Getting
wall.
close, okay.
Just a natural parking lot design.
Okay, just, and again, there's a, right there on the property line between 4 and 5, there seems to be one of those concrete, I don't think you'd call it a sidewalk, but there you can see there's 3 of them along there between maybe 6 parking slots. Maybe that could be eliminated, and maybe we could work towards providing some access there. And I guess that brings me to the second question, which, what are we going to do with the walkway coming down from Spartan, which is, it's a pedestrian, I mean, it's in gravel and it's slippery and dangerous and you could almost fall on it, but that didn't seem to come into the equation when we were doing this. Am I missing something?
We don't have any plans for that at this particular point in time. That's down the road, whether we would put steps to it or to make it more accessible that way.
Okay.
It's not in the planning.
Okay,
right
it wasn't
now.
part of the...
No, it wasn't part of this, no.
Okay, okay. Councillor Rhodes, you had a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I wanted to maybe just ask about that same area. When you go from Spartan down that walkway, it's quite steep, and then it blends into exactly where you have the line.
Mm-hmm.
How could we ever accomplish that, to allow a vehicle to go in there?
Well,
Because the parking lot, right now, there's quite a considerable grade that goes from all of those properties along there. And I think that grade is going to be, tilted back a wee bit, so the whole parking lot's going to go like that. And that would really negate any kind of access in there.
Well,
Just the parking lot design itself without the wall there.
see, there was a discussion with the consultant that where I began the black line, that possibly they would come right up the access, because they paved quite a ways up there, because there is a garbage bin that belongs to White Sands that I understand is permanent and going to remain there. So I guess the truck is going to come up and lift that bin on this particular property right at the very end. So there was a discussion that possibly we could make another entrance to the building from that side, which would allow us to be able to take the stuff out of the building. And however, based on that fact, they also had some discussion about putting the garbage container right on that corner, which then the truck would come out and lift White Sands, hypothetically, without talking to them about this, and then back up and go in with the forks and lift the other one on this side, if there was going to be, if they would be able to construct something, right? So as far as the access goes, that's the only discussion we had, CJ, about that.
Yeah, it just seems to me that it would be awfully, I can't get the grade in my mind how you would actually drive up around, following that route that you have marked on here, because of that corner, because it comes down and it's really steep and there's a lot of dirt in there.
Yeah.
And then the wall was intended to blend in with that thing up there, adding stability to that part. And if you start altering that, you're changing the whole plan, not just that one little area.
I can't recall the fellow's name that was with us from True Consulting, but he said because the pavement is going to go up there anyways, that it's already in the plan to make the access to that garbage can of White Sands. So, of course, the entrance to that building would have to be right there at
Yeah,
the
it
very
had to be
corner
changed, yeah.
of
Okay.
of that building facing the walkway,
Okay,
and in order to create the access.
okay.
Those were the two real solid discussions were that change, as well as then there was some discussion because that wall goes right down to very little, right at the bottom by the breeze wall that ends there. So that was the other discussion about that parking stall, because of course we will not be able to provide parking in our development, so we're going to have to buy parking if we don't go underground.
Okay.
So it's it's another consideration, but I can't commit expenses to the estate because all I can do is do what we've discussed about trying to find out if there's not some way of changing the access to the property or allowing the access to the property without it costing the estate a lot of money. Because at this point, there's not a lot of funds to free up, right? There's no settlement and anything, so.
Okay, so, True Consulting, what did they suggest?
We talked about both, and then those were the only two logical,
Okay,
because there's a gas line
right,
at the back of that building, yeah. And the gas line is right at the very edge, if you can see all through my scribbling, how that indentation goes on the building. The gas line is right there,
okay,
right beside the corner.
okay.
And so we cannot touch that area because, as True Consulting said, that would be a nightmare to try and redo that. And of course, we were not aware that that's where the gas line came. We
Right.
thought it fed from the front, from
Okay.
Spartan.
Okay,
But anyways, so then the other most logical one was to use a space, a parking space, to go in and have the gate there locked, which would prevent anybody coming in there. But it would mean that we would have to run that fence right across the property. It has to have a start and a finish to have a gate, right?
yeah.
So,
Oof.
Yeah.
Mr. Romanko, please. If there's any other questions, maybe Ms. Youngberg can take a seat again. She doesn't have to stand there all the time while we debate this.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Romanko.
Just another point of information, given this opened up, we started, and they haven't reviewed the finished the search yet, but we are going to be looking at kind of the development requirements for the White Sands, how that bin got there,
Okay,
whether it was part of the development requirement or it just was put there.
okay.
In
Okay.
terms of approval or not, because all the rest of the White Sands waste management is on the other end of the building.
Oh, okay.
So whether this was just placed there as a convenience, was it approved part of the development process? We're not sure how it got into a setback like that.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm looking for any sort of solution to move this forward. Because I don't, I can't see us closing off that as soon as they're ready to start paving the lot. You're saying, no, you can never have access back there again, get your stuff out of the building. I don't think this town operates like that. Is there a solution, Mr. Romanko, to get us moving into some sort of mediated acceptance by people? Do you see any solution here, please?
Well, the project is out to tender right now as is, and we had to move ahead based on our timeframes.
I
If we're going to
understand
make this
all of
summer,
it.
we had to move ahead and thought that if we could accommodate somehow, that it'll have to be done through some type of a project change process. However, project changes take money, whether it be through engineering planning or just through the efforts that have to be made to make them happen. It's very difficult to comment on what the options would be without having very specific engineering on the whole site. It's one thing to go out there and take a look at the site and say, well, you could do this or you could do that, but I'm told that from the wall to the back of the building is about a 4 or 5 feet, and there's an overhang over top of that. So, you know, there is not a lot of room between the lot line and the wall is basically on the just inside the lot line. So, without going back to True and having them take a look at the slopes and come up with a suggestion, you know, at this particular point in time, all I would suggest that we would be directed to go back to True and see if we can make any options. Given that there is, like I said, a 4-foot wall, very difficult to work with in terms of the slopes there.
Ms. Youngberg?
It seems that the conversation continues to just circle around Lot 5, and with no consideration to Lot 4, and that's what True Consulting had suggested. And I know that probably, you know, planning doesn't want to look at that because they'll lose a parking space, but the space can be used the way that we discussed it. Just because you drive through the space to go through the fence, there would be private property put on the fence that it could be constructed. And the parking space, as long as that gate is closed, people would park there. And, I mean, it would be something where we've had to ask numerous people to move their vehicles so we can get in and out every summer. So this wouldn't be a new thing to us. But at least I could schedule a truck at 7 in the morning or 9 at night or wherever. And that's the discussion about Lot 5 is closed, basically, as far as I'm concerned in True Consulting, because there's no possible way that we can move that gas line, which is going to cost $6,000 to $10,000. But there is a possibility of making another entrance to the building coming off of the walkway. Or I thought it was a fire lane, but anyways, whatever you call that gravel piece. And so there is a possibility of doing that. So it's either drive on the level part of Lot 4 and come in that way, or take the hole in the building from the gravel access. And if we do that, well then of course the town has to give us access over that walkway or fire hydrant line to access our door, the new door that we would put in the building.
Well, I think...
Does that make any sense? Like the door, does everybody understand the door's on the northern part of the building? Right now it's on the southern side of the building.
Right.
Okay.
I think what we better do is refer this back to staff, and they can have another kick at it with True Consulting and see where we're going on this. You know, we're not going to cut it off, so I don't see council taking that position. So we better have another look and see if we can find a way to make this work. And hopefully, you know, it would be short term rather than long term. And you know, you're talking about development down the road and things like that. Yeah, it's got a lot of issues there that, you know, we're certainly not going to make any guarantees or anything here today, but let's open up that door and get that resolution on the table. So
and just remembering that there's no access to that bottom floor from the top.
Right.
Otherwise, we have to create the easement from 4 to 5 to walk, because there's no way you can do anything else. Okay.
Okay. So let's.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate everybody's attention.
Thank you. Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would be prepared to make a motion that we refer this matter of the access to lots 4 and 5 to our staff and in consultation with True Consulting to see if there is something viable, particularly about bringing something through one of the parking spaces in the proposed lot.
Okay, and seconder, Councillor Rhodes. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Ms. Youngbird. We will have another look at this and see if there's something that we can do and it's going to work. It's going to work for everybody.
Thank you very much.
And moving into item F, some water matters. Water District Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw report from Mr. Zackel, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. So before council and the water councilors is a Water District Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1241.04, 2012. The town of Oswego operates the rural water system under the Water District Rates and Regulations Bylaw 1241. Each year, the town's bylaws are reviewed, and when changes are required, they are brought forward as an amending bylaw to update the contents and/or the fees and charges. The bylaw amendment 1241.04, 2012 is brought forward for council's consideration. Schedule A has been amended to reflect a $6 increase to water district user fees for a single-family residence with a 1.83% increase to all other water district user fees. The 2012 rate for single-family residents is $334. This increase is expected to raise an additional $8,300 in revenue. Funds that are available for water capital projects are $453,072. This is up from $368,880 in 2011. In 2012, the water capital projects that are proposed to be constructed is a source to tap study and assessment, the 340 reservoir expansion project that was started in 2011, a new manganese removal pilot test program, Spartan Drive water extension, Oasis Vedette Drive on-site services, 92nd and Brayburn water main extension, and Station 9 electrical system upgrading. From some of the impacts in the community is improved water infrastructure, improved water quality. Organizationally, there's no changes. And budget, the increased revenue will assist with water capital projects. From a sustainability component, continued effort for protecting the environment, reduction of our carbon footprint, and financial sustainability. Options before council are to give bylaw 1241.04 first 3 readings, or option 2 is to not make any changes at this time. And staff is recommending option 1.
Great. Thank you. Is there any questions of Mr. Zackel? Hearing none from the water councilors, do we have recommended motions for first 3 readings? Option 1 for first three readings. Councillor Morera, seconded by Councillor Laranjo. Once again, any discussion on that? All in favor? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Sorry, Councillor Ryan, it looked like you were just going to come forward.
I was
you were just getting ready for the vote.
just ready for the vote.
That's great. Still staying with bylaws. This is all the result of our new budget. These are the changes that are being incurred. Again, Mr. Zackel, with the Sewer Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1065-13, 2012.
Do we have the municipal ticketing one
There's
first?
one in between there.
There's one just above
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry. Yes, there we are. Municipal Ticketing Information System Bylaw number 127001, 2012. Final adoption. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. The Municipal Ticket Information Bylaw, MTI Bylaw number 1279, 2011, requires amending to include fines for the new soil deposit and removal bylaw. This bylaw was given first 3 readings on February 20th and is now before council for adoption. The administration is recommending that this bylaw be read for adoption.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move option 1, that the Municipal Ticket Information Amendment Bylaw 1279.01 of 2012 be adopted.
And seconder, Councillor Plant. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now, Mr. Zacko, on our sewer rates, followed by water rates and waste management and all of them here. Mr. Zacko, please.
Thank you. So before council is our Sewer Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1065.13 for 2012. Town of Oswego operates our sewer system under the town's Sewer Rates and Regulations Bylaw 1065. Each year the town's bylaws are reviewed, and when changes are required, they're brought forward as an amending bylaw to update the contents and/or the fees and charges. Bylaw Amendment 1065.13, 2012 is brought forward for council's consideration. Schedule A and Schedule B have been amended to reflect a $4 increase to sewer user fees for a single-family residence with a 1.89% increase to the other sewer user fees. The 2012 rate for single-family residents for in-town is $216 and in a rural area $309. The increase is expected to raise an additional $21,650 in additional revenue. Funds available for sewer capital projects are at $419,695, and this is up from $377,624 in 2011. Some of the sewer capital projects that we've got budgeted for in 2012 include the completion of the Northwest Sector Sanitary Sewer Project. In an effort to expand reduce our carbon footprint, we're planning to double our solar array expansion in 2012 up at the treatment plant. We have cell number 2 sludge transport to landfill, Legion Beach trunk sewer upgrade, sewer extension to Marina washroom, Cottonwood flow meter, lift station telemetry, reclaimed water system expansion, Spartan Drive sewer extension, and the Oasis Vedette Drive on-site services. From the community perspective, we're working towards improved sewer infrastructure, always improved lake water quality, in an effort to reduce our carbon footprint, like I previously alluded to, with the expansion of the solar array at the lagoons. Organizationally, there are no changes, and from a budget perspective, an increased revenue will assist in sewer capital projects. Sustainability-wise, continued effort for protecting the environment, reducing the carbon footprint, and financial sustainability. And the options before council is to give first 3 readings to Sewer Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1065.13, 2012, or to keep as is. So staff's recommending option 1.
Okay. Council, Councillor Plump, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move that we give the first 3 readings to the Sewer Ratings and Regulations Amendment Bylaw number 1065.13, 2012.
Great. Councillor Ryan, seconding that. Any discussion on that? I guess this isn't a bylaw, but when we're talking about the solar array up at the lagoons, do we have the knowledge, like, to put it in layman's terms, how many houses that would run? You know, we see that array, and I'm almost going, you know, I know it's driving the aeration pumps, but you know, I'd like to know if that's like 10 houses worth of power or 3 houses worth of power. I wonder if we could find that out from, you know, we have a lot of consultants going through. It'd be kind of neat to say that this is what that's being generated, a solar array in Osoyoos. It'd be nice to have that number somewhere along the line. Yeah. Anyway, that's just sort of a sidebar. I'm sorry. Any discussion on the bylaw? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Mr. Zackel. Water Rates and Regulations Amendment, please.
Thank you. Like I said, lots of bylaws coming forward for council's consideration. The Water Rates and Regulation Amendment Bylaw 1242.04 2012 is before council. Each year the town's bylaws are reviewed, and when changes are required and brought forward, an amending bylaw is brought to update the contents and or the fees and charges. Bylaw Amendment 1242.04 2012 is brought forward for council's consideration. Schedule A has been amended to reflect a $6 increase to water user fees for a single-family residence, with a 2.15% increase to the other water user fees. The 2012 rate for a single-family residence is $285. This increase is expected to raise an additional $26,000 in additional revenue, and the funds, like previously mentioned, available for capital projects are $453,072. So continually working towards improving our infrastructure, improving our water quality, and the increased revenues assisting with water capital projects. Sustainability-wise, continued effort for protecting the environment, reduction of carbon footprint, and financial sustainability. And a recommendation is to give first 3 readings to Water Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1242.04.
Thank you. Council, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move option 1.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Ryan. As a seconder on that, any discussion? Councillor Ryan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say it must sound very boring to anyone watching this, that we're just running through these, but I'd like to just say that a great deal of thought was given to these in the budget process, which was an open process for residents. And I'd call attention to the the capital projects that are being enabled by these relatively modest increases. These are going to have implications and are going to benefit people for years to come. And we've done so much in the way of general infrastructure in the last 3 years, and we basically are just renewing everything. And many of these are changes. We're making sure that our water is of the best quality. We're trying hard with this pilot we're going to undertake soon to try to get rid of this manganese, which is such a blight on our water system. And we're going to have a number of new public washrooms that are going to be hooked up through some of the extensions of our sewer. So I guess I'd like to just put a little more of a face to these rather dry proceedings.
Thank you, and I applaud that. Well received, because there, we did all the hard work through the budget deliberations, and went through that all, and now we're just sort of running them through for the approval process. So thanks again. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Brings us to still another one under bylaws is our Waste Management Service and Regulation Amendment Bylaw. Mr. Zacco, please.
Thank you. So Waste Management Services and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1267.04 2012 is before council. This Waste Management Services and Regulations Bylaw, this bylaw was established to set regulations for services to collect and dispose of solid waste and recyclable materials within the town of Osoyoos, and for materials accepted at the Osoyoos Sanitary Landfill. Schedule A has been amended to change the rate for garbage/recycling collection per residential dwelling per year from $104 to $109. This increase is to assist in the increased cost in garbage and recycling, or in the cost of the garbage and recycling collection contractor, as well as recycling opportunities. This increase is expected to raise an additional $11,200 in additional revenues. Landfill tipping fees remain fairly consistent with the RDOS landfills, and consideration of tipping fee increases should be considered in early 2013. From implications, continued effort for waste diversion at the Osoyoos Sanitary Landfill to extend the lifespan for our residents. Organizationally, there's no changes required. Budget, the increased revenue of $11,200 is to assist with the increase in costs associated with the garbage and recycling collection contractor and other recycling opportunities. And sustainability, continued effort for protecting the environment, reduction of waste, and financial sustainability. Before council, the options are to give first 3 readings to Waste Management Services and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1267.04 2012, or 2, to not make any changes at this time, and the recommendation is for option 1.
Thank you. Council, please. Councilor Ryan.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll move the first 3 readings to Waste Management Services and Regulations Amendment Bylaw number 1267.04 2012.
Thank you. And Councilor Plant, seconding. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Bringing us to the last bylaw, number 5, 5-year financial plan. Could you describe how that ties into the budget and yeah.
Definitely, I'll try to do that. The 5-year financial plan before council is basically spells out the financial implications of the municipality over the next 5 years, or projected 5 years. Each year this is reviewed by council, and the 5-year financial plan is amended and brought forward again. Section 165 of the community charter requires.
Sorry, I just have to interrupt. I apologize. Yes, I have to recuse myself from the budget approval process due to my status as the fire department volunteer member. As far as the town staff has been diligent in seeking legal advice on this matter regarding my conflict of interest, and legal counsel has advised that I am in conflict with matters regarding the fire department, even within the budget approval process. staff tried to separate the fire department budget from the overall budget to allow me to vote, but legal counsel would not agree to that. So I have to recuse myself, and I apologize to my fellow councillors and to the mayor. As far as my passion to remain on the volunteer fire department remains strong, and especially within the dilemmas regarding our town's increase in population over the summer with tourism and the troubles to recruit and retain volunteers within our fire department makes my stance this much stronger that I'd like to be part of that still. So, and the other part is that Chief Rick Jones would probably hunt me down at that point. So again, sorry, and I'm going to recuse myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Plant. That's really unfortunate. I know Council feels that we feel it's unjust, but you know, the law is a funny animal at times, and it's just saying that there is a potential there. I don't see it, but that's the way it is. So thank you very much. We'll call you back in. Mr. Zackel, please. Continuing along.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. So Section 165 of the Community Charter requires municipalities to prepare a financial plan for a period of 5 years, which is adopted annually by bylaw. The Charter also requires Council to undertake a process of public consultation regarding the proposed financial plan before it's adopted. Attached, please find the proposed financial plan, Bylaw 1286-2012, for Council's consideration. In addition, Section 3 of this report outlines the public consultation followed in 2012. Financial plan requirements. The financial plan must be adopted by bylaw at any time before the annual property tax bylaw is adopted. Section 197(1) of the Community Charter requires that Council must adopt the annual property tax bylaw before May 15th. A financial plan must set out proposed expenditures by the municipality, proposed revenue sources, and proposed transfers between funds. The information must set out for each of the 5 years covered in the financial plan. The Act requires certain particulars must be included. However, the amount of detail is a matter of local determination. The financial plan must not plan for a deficit. The total proposed revenue sources plus transfers from other funds must not be exceeded by the total proposed expenditures and transfers to other funds. Public consultation requirements. Section 166 of the Community Charter requires Council to undertake a process of public consultation regarding a proposed financial plan before it's adopted. The Act does not specify the format of public consultation, and it may be varied at Council's discretion to suit the local community. Council was presented with the budget at a special open meeting of Council on February 16th and 17th, 2012, with the financial information available on the town's website. It is recommended that after Council gives first, second, and third reading of the financial plan bylaw, copies of the 2012 to 2006 financial plan will be available to the public, and then provide an opportunity to the public to comment at our regular open council meeting. A suggested date and time for the public input session regarding the financial plan is during the regular meeting of Council on the first meeting of April, just prior to the bylaw coming before Council for adoption. Highlighted objectives of the 5-year financial plan. Over the next 4 years, the town will increase the proportion of revenue that is received from user fees and charges by at least 2% over the current levels. Over the next 4 years, keep the property tax increase close to the cost of living. Maintain the property tax rate for business and other Class 6 at the current ratio 1.6 times the residential rate, and the town will continue to provide permissive tax exemptions to nonprofit societies, and over the next 3 years the town will look at expanding its offering of permissive tax exemptions to include revitalization tax exemptions targeted at green developments for the purposes of encouraging development that will meet our climate action charter commitments. The 2012 budget and significant operating changes from the operating environment change. CPI increased by 1.9%. Non-market change or new construction, new tax dollars were $13,160. KP wages increased by 2% in 2012, 2013, and 2014. And the landfill Hulda liquid waste facility, the assumption is that we'll keep that facility open. Highlights of the 2012 budget. Council is maintaining current level of service. A 0% increase to property taxes after new construction tax dollars. Garbage and recycling fees to increase by $5 in 2012 to $109. This is an $11,200 increase in revenues, and this increases to account for this TCPI increase in garbage and recycling collection contract. Sewer rates to increase by $4 in 2012 to $216 in town, $309 in the rural area for single-family residents, with a 1.89% increase to the other sewer user rates. This is a $21,650 increase in revenues. Water rates proposed to increase $6 in 2012 to $285 for single-family residents, a 2.15% increase to other water rates, and this is a $26,000 increase in revenues. Water District proposed to increase by $6 in 2012 to $334 for single-family residents and a 1.83% increase to other Water District rates. This is a $8,300 increase in revenues. A third summer student is included in operations for 2012, and the cross-connection position has been removed from operations. A new mini excavator with trailer at a total cost of $65,000 to be leased through MFA over 5 years with no residual value is proposed to be leased starting in July of 2012. General operating expenditures, less transfers to other governments, contingencies and transfers to reserves, and resort municipality projects has decreased by $10,140 to $4,565,340. A 0.22% decrease. Sewer operating expenditures, less transfers to reserves, contingencies, and capital expenditures, has increased by $10,929 to $1,127,205, a 0.98% increase. Water operating expenditures, less transfers to reserves, contingencies, and capital expenditures, has decreased by $52,492 to $1,444,328, a 3.51% decrease. Funds available for capital expenditures. General operating funds available for capital expenditures in 2012 are $441,975. This is up from $389,355 in 2011. Sewer operating funds available for capital expenditure in 2012 are $419,695, up from $377,624 in 2011. Water operating funds available for capital expenditures in 2012 are $453,072, and this is up from $368,880 in 2011. We also have a contingency allowance built into the three funds. In our general fund, we have $50,000. Sewer fund, we have $30,000, and water fund, we have $20,000. In 2012, we have a proposed capital project for road reconstruction that is planned to be borrowed to complete that project. This is from the intersection of Cottonwood Drive to the Sage Pub. This one would require borrowing and is also subject to elector approval. The total project cost is, or borrowing, is $287,250 that we'd have to borrow for. This is a road DCC project funded 25% by DCC funds. MFA's current rate on borrowing is 3.5%, with a 20-year term costing $19,700.12 annually. Debt payments and property tax collection would start in 2013 if this was approved and completed. So an average increase to the debt portion of property taxes, as described below, if this was to be approved by electorcent, would increase the debt portion of a single-family residence by $5.10 and a business by $6.54. Our 2012 capital projects. We have under the land category $200,000, general planning $47,000, office equipment $45,500, roads $2,769,700, overlays $62,000, sidewalks $50,000, equipment $5,500, community services, parks, green space $742,000, recreation equipment $10,000, Sonora Center $78,000, parks $159,750, Waterfront Master Plan, Waterfront Trail, $130,000. Waterfront Park, $666,000. Sailing Club Marina Improvements, $599,000. Buildings, $139,000. Other, $160,200, and Fire Department, $43,500. That's a total general capital expenditures of $5,907,150. From the sewer fund, we have a total of $3,591,295 in capital projects. And in the water fund, we have $1,660,100 in capital projects. From the resort municipality projects, a total of $651,820 in resort municipality funds received from the province is budgeted to be spent in 2012 and relates to the following categories. Resort municipality program administration of $3,000, multi-use trail, $15,000. This is included already in the capital projects. Wayfinding signage, $20,000. Beach cleaning, $15,000. Public art program of $15,000. Boat trailer parking, $15,000. Marina facility entrance, $502,820, and that's included in our capital previous mentioned. And visitor activity enhancement of $25,000. We have community beautification of $5,000 and visitor safety enhancements of $36,000, which was included in the capital previously mentioned. So implications for the community. A significant amount of capital projects are planned for 2012 that will enhance the community and improve the infrastructure in the town and rural service areas. Organizationally, one additional summer student to be hired in 2012, and the position of a cross-connection person has been removed. Budget, user fees for garbage collection, water, and sewer have increased a combined $15 for single-family residents. No increase to property taxes after new construction dollars were added. Sustainability, working to ensure maintaining levels of service for the community and financial sustainability for the town. Now, options before council are to give first three readings to 5-year financial plan bylaw 1286-2012. Option 2, to modify the bylaw to include a property tax increase of 1.9% and give first three readings to financial plan bylaw 1286-2012. And option 3, to delay first three readings of financial plan number 1286-2012. And the recommendation before council is option number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Zackel. Great report, and thanks for bringing in that zero tax increase after new construction. I think council was very appreciative of that. Again, we understand that it's something you can't keep doing. You can't do it every year. But I think it was really neat for a couple of new council members to come on and, you know, their first budget to come in with zero increase. And again, that accounts to the staff doing such a good job here. And thank you very much, Mr. Zackel. Looking at the recommendations, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move option number 1 to give the first three readings to the 5-year financial plan bylaw 1286.2012.
Thank you. And seconder, Councillor Ryan. And discussion, please. Anything further on that? I guess there's one I'd just like to highlight. Maybe I'm a bit sensitive about it. We were looking at some improvements around the sailing club, and they called it a couple different names, but I noticed there was a $599,000 expenditure on it, and $502,000 of that came from the resort municipal funding. So you know, people are saying, well, you're spending an awful lot of money down there. Again, I'd just like to point out that money was spent by the tourists that come to this town and put money into the 2% hotel room tax that in turn results in matched funding from the provincial government, because we're a resort municipality that in turn got spent on doing all those improvements for the people in town. So it's pretty, I think it's pretty darn neat and pretty exciting that's included in there as part of our resort municipality. So, anything further? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks a lot, Mr. Zackel. Appreciate your great work. Moving on to Mr. Romanko. Could we go to business 3? because Councillor Plant has also expressed that he will not be here for business item number 3, the business plan approval. So rather than have him come out and then go back in again, and we'd like this duly recorded that Councillor Plant was also recused from the business plan approval process. Is that okay, Mr. Remenko?
That's fine, yes.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, that's probably a very good idea.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. You've had the opportunity to talk money with the approval of the 5-year plan. We want to now move to request approval to the 2012 to 14 business plan. Just as an overview, in terms of the business plan, the business plan provides a 3-year rolling plan for directions, projects, priorities, and investments. It's developed through individual and joint strategic sessions with council and directors. And also, ideally, the plan takes directions off the very many plans that we have here in our community, things like the Integrated Community Sustainability Plan, the Official Community Plan, the 5-year Capital Operational Plan, objectives and policies, and other planning documents. Projects and activities are identified with target dates based on best guess amounts of time. However, all projects are subject to uncontrollable factors, changing priorities, new directions, and new opportunities. Plan is approved by Council with the understanding that these projects will move ahead based on the capacity of individuals and departments, the allocation of resources, and the administration's ability to respond. New items will be added throughout the course of the year through the approval of Council, recognizing the reallocation of resources. The CEO and directors will provide Council with quarterly updates on the projects, and although roles are different, many projects require the administration and the Council working together in their respective roles to achieve success. So basically, the business plan identifies all the projects that we hope to accomplish over the next 3 years, and then the 5-year capital operational plan puts the money to them so that we can in fact make these projects move ahead. The 2012 business plan was developed based on assumptions that we will continue on the existing path that has been forged by previous councils with additions of this current council. We will continue to provide service at existing levels as effectively and efficiently as possible, to protect and maintain our service infrastructure, and to complete major development opportunities. We'll be continuing to implement changes to policy and practice that will make this organization a contemporary functioning organization. We'll be seeking transparency and community engagement in governance and administration in the municipality's business, and we'll be developing our community's profile and visitor experience offer to enable economic development and economic sustainability. This year's plan will be bringing new challenges to the administration and council, but also brings changes to the community. Some of the highlights of challenges and projects that we will be working on include we have not assessed the amount of or the nature of the work needed to position the community to positively develop based on the recent announcement of the prison being developed in the area. 1. 2. Potential need for increased communication and collaboration with other levels and local governments to protect and enhance needed services, whether locally or regionally. And this speaks specifically to things like hospitals and school services in the area. There's an increase in resident and tourist facility requests that require allocation of staff, resources, and funds to implement capital project planning and implementation. Some of the highlights include a dog park, a splash park, additional waterfront activities and or developments which will include new washrooms at the Marina and Gyro Beach, parking lot paving by Gyro Beach, development of staging area by the Marina, a reconstruction of Fuji Court and Spartan Drive. We'll see new paved road and parking created at the end of all the way to the end of Lions Park, and development of new beach area facilities at North Cottonwood. There's also the project being talked about in terms of the future airport expansion. Higher levels of service such as park and trail maintenance, bylaw development and enforcement, and responsiveness to individual versus community needs are all things that we continue to strive for. Development and implementation of marina operations certainly is a new area of service that we will be challenged with this summer. We look forward to the capital completion and first-year operations of the Northwest Sewer Service area. We'll be building a stronger business case and our policy for servicing properties outside our boundaries. We have many residents on our boundaries who continue to look for water and sewer services from the town. There's a need for better planning and the development of community service programs and facilities so that we can have shovel-ready projects that have community support in the event that grant programs are identified or made available. And there's a need for resources that will assist in the development of plans, policy, bylaws, and other activities that will enable the community and business to grow in a manner that is presented in the Integrated Community Sustainability Plan. We are working right now on the planning and development and design of the fire hall facility, and the implementation of a referendum for capital funding will be looked at in the near future. An additional challenge will be the Southeast Meadowlark subdivision, making it available for development proposal, and we hope that this is one of the major projects that will put us in the forefront to increase residential opportunities with the new prison being developed. And last but not least, we'll be looking at our public involvement process in the future designing of the waterfront. Some of the implications that this business plan speaks to certainly is that the community benefits from working in a planned manner to implement priority projects in a fiscal responsible manner. Having all these projects outlined gives the administration some clear direction on its future work activities. The organization works at Capacity Plus to provide core service at existing levels, plus the new development projects that must be project management within existing manpower. A budget is a 5-year capital plan as presented and given 3 readings by Council today. And the sustainability plan was one of the planning documents that was used to guide the development of the business plan. So the options that we are presenting for Council today include the approval of the 2012 to 14 business plan as presented by the administration and developed by Council and directors. That's 1. 2, approve the business plan after Council identified changes are made. And number 3 is don't approve the business plan at this particular point in time, and the administration recommends option number 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romanko. That was a mouthful.
Yes.
Council, please. Councilor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move option 1 to approve the 2012 to 14 business plan as presented by the administration.
And Councilor Ryan is seconder on that. Any discussion on that? Councilor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, not really much in the way of discussion. I just wanted to commend Mr. Romanko for putting this plan together, and certainly any involvement by staff that put this whole plan together for us. Every year that goes by, and as we move towards sustainability in our communities and that, anything that plans for the future is an enormous benefit in our community. And I know the hard work that went into this and all of the various implications. You never really know. You hear the words, but you don't know the work that went into it. So good job to yourself, Mr. Romanko, and everybody else who was involved in it.
Thanks, Councilor. Thanks, Councilor Rhodes. Councilor Ryan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to invite everyone, because we are going to have an opportunity at our first meeting in April, which I think is April the 3rd, to consider final reading and hear from the residents, to read the budget, the 5-year budget, and the business plan together, because they really are integrated into each other. And as Councilor Rhodes said, Mr. Romanko and staff have put a tremendous amount of energy into this, and Council has deliberated on it very seriously. And I personally am always amazed at how the suggestions of Council, things that we hear from our constituents, from residents, that we put forward to Council, even if we can't do them immediately, they always end up in the business plan that is vetted by Council for the following period of time. So please take the opportunity to go on the internet and on our website and to look at these two together. And I hope that we will have some interested residents who come and who comment or ask questions when we do deliberate on this and when it comes for final approval in April.
Great comments, Councillor Ryan. I certainly second those two. The business plan is a good document. It's all broken into categories. You can flip through it and see where the town's going on roads or sidewalks or whatever interests you. So it really is the plan for this town for the future to be sustainable. So it's an important document. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. I just have one question, Mr. Romanko, and it's sort of, Mr. Zackel got away on me. And when we were talking about, a road project from the Sage to the Highway 3 at Cottonwood, and it was going to be borrowing money. And I had it written down, and it slipped away on me. Would that be the alternate approval process, or?
We'll be bringing that to council to ask your recommendation on, or you provide the direction on that. But given the small amount that of borrowing that's involved, that's usually the process that we would recommend.
Okay.
And that's the corner where the lights are going to be developed here very, very shortly, and that project is just going to the north to fix the road to the north. There's a lot of traffic coming through there.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes, now we'll get Mr. Councillor Plant, and going back to business one, a council meeting report for Councillor McCordoff. I believe that was for 2 days attending Okanagan Regional Library. The library board is one of the few boards that doesn't reimburse councillors. It all comes through the town. It's a sort of another hidden cost of running the library. We have seats at the table, but they don't pay. So this is our out of town per diem. Over to council, please. Councillor Ryan.
Yes, I would move, Mr. Mayor, that we pay the expense, the per diem that has been claimed by Councillor McCordoff of $200.
Okay, and that seconder, Councillor Rhodes. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. To business two, please. The council endorsement of the agricultural plan. Mr. Romanko, Mr. Shannon. No, Mr. Romanko.
Yeah, I don't know where Mr. Cunningham is. I assume he saw a note that this was going to be deferred, so he didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, we told him that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I'm the reason for Mr. Cunningham's absence. I would like to move that we defer this to a future COW meeting. I understand it's not a pressing matter, and it seems to me that it's quite important. It's a lengthy document, and I think it is important, and I think it deserves our attention. And there are a few questions that I think and explanations that we would benefit from by having Mr. Cunningham go through it with us. So with council's support, I would hope that we could defer this for a COW meeting where we can really give it the attention that it should have.
Okay, could we have a motion on that? A motion to refer, I believe, seeing as it's a official document now.
To refer, yes. I would so move then that we refer this to a future meeting of our Committee of the Whole.
Okay, and seconder, Councillor Rhodes. Discussion, all in favor, opposed? We will revisit this at a COW meeting. Business 4, the Marina Mortgage License Agreement. Mr. Shannon, please.
Good afternoon, Council.
Good afternoon. Are you on there? You need a red light right there.
Good afternoon.
There we go.
This is report number 5 So I'm not going to go through the whole background spiel on the front end of the report, so I'll just skip to the overview. And so some minor revisions have been made to the Marina Moorage License Agreement, and that'll be referred to as I speak as the MMLA, based on suggestions provided by Councillor Michael Ryan. For example, the age of the vessel, as described in Part B, was changed to the date of manufacture. Text was added to Section 8T to ensure that anyone brought into the marina obeys all the conditions of the agreement. Prohibition against skateboards, scooters, or similar recreational products has been added to Section 8V. And under Section 15, it states that notice will be provided by letter and by email. On February the 21st, 2012, the MMLA was provided to our lawyer for a second time to review the sub-licensing portion of the agreement. Our lawyer has advised staff that if we wish to permit sub-licensing of the marina slips, the town will not have a direct relationship with the sub-licensee. To further clarify, we will have to enforce the terms and conditions of the agreement through the head licensee. If, for example, the sub-licensee breaches the obligations of the agreement, that will amount to a breach of the agreement by the head licensee, and the agreement could be terminated. The following is a condensed version of the sub-licensing portion of the MMLA as prepared by our lawyer. A head licensee in good standing and with the town's consent may sub-license the use of their designated slip to another person for moorage of another vessel, provided the licensee provides the town with the particulars of the sub-licensee's vessel. The sub-licensee has obtained assurance in the form and amount required under the agreement. The licensee has paid the town a sub-license fee of $500. The licensee may sub-license use of its designated slip only once during the term, and the licensee may not use the designated slip during the term of any sub-license. And at all times, the licensee remains responsible for compliance with all the obligations contained in the agreement. So the attached MMLA has been prepared for Council's consideration of approval, and the implications to the community are that the MMLA will provide staff with an agreement to be entered into with future end users of the marina. Under organizational, if approved, staff will be able to proceed with advertising of the marina slips in an effort to open the marina in time to begin the moorage season on April the 1st, 2012. And under budget, the leasing of the town's portion of the marina slips will generate revenue. And sustainability, the marina is a much needed asset to the town, and with proper management will reduce the proliferation of boats on the Soyuz Lake. And your options are to, one, to approve the attached marina moorage license agreement to be used by the town for leasing the marina slips, and to authorize staff to make minor revisions to the document if deemed necessary. Or two, request further revisions to the MMLA. Or three, direct staff to abandon the MMLA. Staff recommends that Council proceed with option one and approve the attached marina moorage license agreement to be used by the town for further licensing of the marina slips, and to authorize staff to make minor revisions to the document if deemed necessary. I just wanted to go on one step further here and let you know that I got some further correspondence from Councillor Michael Ryan on the weekend, and he suggested that we add some text, further text to Section 15, and that's he suggested some text that's taken directly from the agreement between the town and DO, and it simply says notice by mail is considered given on the next business day after it is dispatched for delivery, and any notice sent by email is to be considered given on the day it is sent, if that day is a business day, and if that day is not a business day, it is to be considered given on the next business day after the date it is sent. That'd be easy for us to add into that section if we're permitted to make minor revisions, as I was saying. The only, I just see I've got a typo in the recommendation. If it's being logged there, in the second last sentence, it should say licensing of the marina slips, not leasing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Shannon. Council's wishes on that. Councilor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move option one with that change of wording from leasing to licensing.
Okay. And that, would that also include Councillor Ryan's input into, his clarity input into email being the same day and Royal Post being the next day?
I understood that was going to be handled in the
Internally?
authorization for
Okay.
revisions, but
Okay,
if that's acceptable, we'll just keep the wording the way it is.
great. Okay, and that seconder on that, Councillor Plant. Any further discussion on that? I had one question. You mentioned the licensee could sub-license once a term. That's 1 year?
The term is from April 1st till October 31st each year.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried? Thanks, Mr. Shannon.
Thank you.
Next item is an MOU on the Report Municipality Initiative. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. In 2008, the town of Osoyoos received the status of a BC Resort Municipality, and with that entered into a Memorandum of Understanding for funding through the Resort Municipality Initiative. As part of the Resort Municipality Initiative program, the town had to complete a 5-year resort development strategy and have it approved by the Ministry of Community and Rural Development. The resort municipality responsibilities have changed from that department to the Ministry of Jobs, Tourism, and Innovation in 2011, and with that also came a need to complete a new Memorandum of Understanding and a new town 5-year resort development strategy. The town's new 2012 to 16 resort development strategy was approved by the Ministry of Jobs and Tourism and Innovation in December of 2011. Attached, you'll find a letter from Greg Goodwin, Executive Director of Ministry of Jobs and Tourism, requesting the town to sign the enclosed Memorandum of Understanding. The implications are for the community. This provides additional funds that allows us or enables us to enhance our tourism development and community lifestyle. It helps support our community infrastructure, and we also get some additional maintenance funding that's allocated through our budget. The resort municipality falls in line with several areas of the town's integrated community sustainability plan. And just as a matter of information, I've heard that the resort municipality funding for 2012 and 13 was approved in this last budget. So we're still, although we always work towards a 5-year plan, it's just something that the province does not want to commit to 5 years, but at least we've got 2 years in hand right now, from what I understand. So the options that are presented to council are to direct the administration to sign the Memorandum of Understanding, and the second option is not to sign the Memorandum of Understanding.
Okay, Councillor Plant.
I would motion that.
Okay. Okay, that we
I
proceed
don't,
with.
yeah,
signing.
option number 1, yes, I would do that.
Okay, and Councillor Ryan?
Yes, I'll second.
Any discussion on that from council? Hearing none, all in favor, opposed, it's carried. Thank you. And now we come up to notice of motion. Councillor Ryan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to advise council to give notice of a motion that I will be presenting at an April meeting of council a resolution regarding the national park proposal for the Okanagan-Similkameen.
Thank you. And I guess we just, Mr. Romanko, that's just received.
That's just received as information.
Do we need a vote on that? No, just received as information. Thank you, Councillor Ryan. That will be interesting. I don't think any other communities have come forward yet, so we'll be, looks like we could be leading the way. Thank you. Moving into some reports, we have some cash requirements in the general account in the amount of $526,353.42, and in the arena accounts of $3,460.87, and to receive for information the net payroll accounts in the amount of $71,746.74. Any council input on that? Hearing none, that will be adopted by consensus. You have the building permit report for the month of February 2012, and that total for the month, $630,000. Total to date, $676,000, and that next figure wouldn't be. Well, that was for 2011. Anyway, I guess the significant item there is 3 motel units over on Ponderosa Drive. The Sandy Beach Motel is proceeding with 3 new units over there. Be a great addition to the town. Councillor Ryan?
No, that's fine. I agree. And I was just thinking of when we had approved, I guess, the development permit, and they have a very nice design. They're in keeping with the Spanish motif that they have. So looking forward to that getting underway.
Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for the previous 12 months, when we reached this portion of our agenda, we beat ourselves up pretty bad on those year-to-date figures. So I wanted to take just a couple of seconds for reflection on those amounts and make sure everybody understands that, you know, there's about a 6-fold increase in the building totals for this year when you compare them to last year. And I'd like to just keep humming and hawing for a few minutes so we can just kind of ponder on it. But a very, very good thing. And I wanted to make sure everybody understood that, you know, we beat ourselves up pretty bad over the last year at the end, you know, when we got to this. And this year it's a lot better, huge improvement.
Great, great. And I guess when you look at it that way, 6 times, you almost want to get excited. If it was 6 million or something, maybe we could. Anyway, thanks for your comments. Under reports, committee reports, Economic Development Advisory Committee. Councillor Plant, you could move that being received for information and maybe make a comment. You're on that committee.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I will move that we accept the minutes from January 26th for the Economic Development Advisory Committee. Obviously, we've had some meetings after that, and one of the big things they're working on right now is on a priority list, and one of them has been since the exciting news of our corrections facility. And so moving forward on trying to come up with somewhat of an attraction strategy and how we can really tap into some of the families that might come in this area. One of them has been using social media. Jason Vars, our Vice Chair, has put out a little survey just asking input for what we might need in time to come as we get closer to the date that would attract those families. So it's very interesting, and there's been lots of great feedback, and that's where we're at right now, creating a priority list plus trying to get feedback from surveys that we're going to put out and really start to look at those projects. But that was the big one that we talked about last time for sure. Thank you.
Great, that sounds neat. So we'd be looking at maybe like a relocation manual or publication.
Relocation guide is what they've called it.
Yeah.
So we're looking into that, and it's an exciting process for sure. Yeah.
Great, great. I need that seconder for those minutes. And Councillor Rhodes, discussion, anyone? All in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. CAO report, Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mary Wells. Just a few items of activity that our administration has been involved in for the last couple of weeks. Starting in community services, the community services department has pulled together a quick camp for children that will be out of school this week in response to some of the I guess you call them sitting needs that some parents may have. So very similar to our spring camp offering. Also, staff has been meeting with the Desert Park Exhibition Society. They're in full swing over there with a number of horses on the track, and we're just looking at cooperating on developing the signage that's needed to let people know that basically the facility is not available for dogs and that while the horses are on track. So we're working on the signage on that. Corporate services is just reminding people that the recycling information booklets will be out to the Soyuz residents by mid-March. And also they've set up, and last week an air quality assessment was done on all the town buildings. Finance has been working with our MLA and provincial government bureaucrats to try and get an extension to the Northwest Sewer Project funding agreement, mainly because we'll have the pipe in the ground, but we're looking for optimum paving weathers to ensure that everything is done to the best of its ability. We're also trying to ensure that Fortis gets our power to our lift stations in time as well. Also, their finance is preparing for the auditor. Planning and Development has been working diligently on the Marina operating agreement and developing the lottery for the slips, and also been working on costing and design of the new washroom facilities down at Gyro Beach and the Marina. Public Works, spring cleaning is out. I noticed the sweeper was out today, so just ensure all residents stay away from that particular unit, and we'll get winter out and spring in here pretty quick. Reconstruction continues at Legion Beach with our new manhole reconstruct. It's got quite a big hole over there. It's going to be interesting how we're going to put that all back together. And in terms of myself, been working on various items related to the Northwest Sewer Project. Also been involved in reviewing plans for the new washroom facilities. And just as a note that for the people who haven't been around, work has started on the Marina staging area redevelopment, which will include a new parking lot, and also on the Spartan Drive work. So targeted for June for completion of everything down there. Thank you.
Great, thanks a lot. It's been a long haul there in front of my house. The road's now gone. The pavement going down the hill, they ripped all that out this morning. So it's going to be quite a bit of work, it would appear, before that all gets stitched back together again. But certainly well worth it, just looking at the marina down there and how good it looks. Councillors' report, starting with Councillor Plante.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, let's see what I got to start with here. I'm just going to get myself organized here. Our first thing that we did was we went to the 5th edition of the Building Sustainable Communities. That was from February the 27th to March 1st. And the theme was communicating and collaborating our way to more sustainable communities. That really was an eye-opener for me. I learned a lot. There was so many great speakers, and what I learned is that there's many communities throughout our province that are participating in innovative practices of sustainability. And I also learned that there's no easy solution to sustainability. It means we really need to start thinking about creating some culture habit changes, and that happens obviously within each of us, and being more conscious of maybe some of the personal choices that we do that affect sustainability of our town, and on a bigger picture, it diminishes some of the resources on a global scale. So one of the big things that I was hearing a lot was that we have to realize that the environment could live without us, and actually would probably thrive without us. But for us, for survival, we need to use the resources of the environment, but we need to respect all resources. So, well, I'm part of the problem, so there's definitely some stuff within my household that I'll be working on, but there was so many presenters working on ideas of collaboration and communication and creating momentum within their communities. So I've got a large bucket now of great ideas that I'm going to try to explore and see if I can bring some people along. One of the great little videos was it was called Dancing Alone. And so sometimes we might feel like a good idea, we're standing by ourselves, and we've probably been at it. It was a representation, a gentleman at a concert was dancing by himself, and eventually he had started to have followers, and there was this big momentum, and all these people got together and started dancing in this way. So I kind of look at sustainability in our town that way a little bit. I'm hoping that we've got some great ideas that will start with maybe some people dancing alone, but eventually followers and a momentum will start. So that's what I got from great speakers from. I just want to mention again one of Mayor Stewell's water heroes, Hans Schreier from UBC. He is, again, talking about water challenges and opportunities, and it was just, it was enlightening. So I look forward to that. And one thing that I'd like to do too is for next year is to see more of our staff and a lot of our community stakeholders take advantage of this project, of this seminar and presenters. So. Moving forward, I have on here the craft hockey voting, but I will leave that because Stu Wells did a fantastic job on putting us all getting ready for these votes. I have the Child and Youth Committee. Our first meeting is March 14th in Oliver at 3:30. So I'm looking forward to that. This is my first time on that. And that's about all I have for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Plante. You're not quite finished. You're going to do the social media on Hockeyville. So kick off on Facebook and tweets and.
Yeah.
And
I started that yesterday. I got in the house and obviously saw your interview on CBC, which was fantastic. And get on the website. You can vote as many times as you want. And let everybody know, especially through Facebook media. It's been great. I see a lot of support in that way. So let's keep going. Vote as always.
Great. And once again, Councillor Plante, just on that dancing by yourself, I hope you shared that with Holly, just so his wife, just so in case you end up dancing down the street by yourself, she does have an inkling of what you're up to.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much.
Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Well, I just as well returned from that sustainability conference in Kelowna that was put on by the Fresh Outlook organization, and and I do have a fresh outlook. I'm feeling a lot better. This is the fourth one that I attended. Every time I come back, I feel so full of energy and want to get so many things get done. But I'm going to take the initiative and just jump right into something right away that I really focused on there, and has an awful lot to do with rainwater harvesting. And right now we're kind of winding down our winter, heading into spring, and everybody thinks that we had lots of rain and all of our water supply problems have all gone away, but really they haven't. They're probably going to be as worse this year as ever. So I just wanted to give everybody a few facts and then just a short little rant, and it won't be too long. And just in case anybody thought I was going to stop doing this, I just wanted to remind you again. Canadians are amongst the highest per capita water consumers in the world. We rank second right now. Okanagan residents are the highest per capita water consumers in Canada, and Osoyoos residents are the highest consumers in the Okanagan, which makes us amongst the highest consumers of water per capita in the world, right here in our little old town. And all of this is particularly alarming because we live in one of the most water-challenged regions in North America. This is technically a desert. It doesn't rain here much. And one of the things that I was able to garner from the conference was the real benefit of harvesting rainwater. And there's many, many ways of doing it, but one of the most typical ways is from your roof on your house. And it takes 25 millimeters of rain falling on a typical roof in Osoyoos right now to generate 3,500 liters of water. It's almost inconceivable. So, in a couple of good rains, you could collect that. I know it's impractical, unless you have large underground tanks, but you can still save a little bit of it. Osoyoos rainfall averages about 200 millimeters annually, which is the lowest in Canada. So in 1 year, if you do the math, you could collect 28,000 liters of rain from your own personal residence if you live in a typical single-family home. And that's just absolutely incredible. That's a large volume of water. And, you know, rainwater is an incredible resource, you know, for our personal use, and extremely wasteful and harmful if we don't harvest it. For every liter that you harvest and use, you save 1 liter of potable water from our taps. So, you know, it sounds real simple, but it is simple. You know, you collect the water, throw it on your yard plants, you save a liter coming out of your taps. Rainwater that is diverted and not used is forced onto our streets and alleys and transported into catchments that eventually end up in our lake. And if you need any further explanation on how harmful that is, then all is lost anyway. Our lake still is and remains our greatest resource. So I know all of these previous words sound like they're intended as a lead into an ongoing and time-consuming, desk-pounding rant. But instead, I'd like you to invite you and everyone that's interested in this to visit the Okanagan Basin Water Board website and have a look at the report that's called Slow It, Spread It, and Sink It. This report is a great resource and provides you with all the tools necessary to harvest your rainwater. And also, if you're interested, the website has all of the other nasty statistics on how bad we really are at water usage and conservation in our area. I know all of these comments sound really negative and distracting and all that kind of thing, but you know, there is a harsh reality that we need to deal with, and you can begin dealing with this circumstance by being aware of the facts and what we are actually doing. The website's address is very simple, www.obwb.ca. In addition to that, I'd like to just reflect back on the last meeting about the information that I provided about the dog park. And I, don't want to talk about the dog park, but I really want to commend the 26 residents that called me and emailed and offered all of their positive comments. Not one distracting thing. There was one kind of sort of negative thing that we'll be working on tomorrow afternoon with our Gerald Davis, our director, that's going to be heading this up. Very minor thing, something that we can work on and move forward. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. So much of what I do in this community is driven by the ideas and opinions of folks like this, and thank you very much again for responding.
Thanks, Councillor Rhodes. Great report. Sounds like the dog park's just kicking right along, and I know the splash park is gaining momentum and more energy and more impetus every day, so we'll be hearing some reports on that soon. Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, the past 2 weeks have gone very quickly, and I just wanted to bring you up to date on a couple of the things that I've been doing. After a couple of special meetings of council to deal with some urgent matters in the operations of the marina, I attended about a week ago now the Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society's presentation on the proposed national park in the Okanagan. And while the provincial government has withdrawn from that and sort of caused the collapse of the negotiations, there was some interesting information that came forward at that meeting. One of them was that First Nations were quite disappointed with the withdrawal of the provincial government, and they are themselves in the midst of a study that they hope to bring forward, I think, in September of this year. And the other piece of information that came as a bit of a surprise to me was that there had been a feasibility study that was completed and presented to both levels of government by a federal provincial steering committee, and that report still has not become a public document. We were told that it did conclude that a national park was feasible and gave recommendations on how it could be moved forward. So that was an interesting new piece of information for me. There was support at the meeting for asking the provincial government to make that report public, and also to hold a referendum on the park proposal to just do a definitive test of public opinion. Thursday, the social justice film series was held, and it was a story about a little 4-year-old or 5-year-old child in Winnipeg who first experienced a homeless person and wanted to do something about it, and now has created a foundation and has been has a floor of a building that is a shelter, in fact. So that was quite touching, and it's led to a group of people continuing to want to work forward, go forward on something to explore what might be done in Osuya. So that's encouraging as well. I too went to the Sustainability Communities Conference in Kelowna, and again focused on a number of issues. There was a whole group of issues and various breakouts that you could attend. So I found myself going to ones on housing and on water, transportation, economic development, and engagement of residents, especially youth. And all of them were quite interesting. On housing, because I've set a goal to facilitate the formation of a housing society for our own affordable housing program. Made several very good contacts with people both in the field as well as organizations that can support us, and I'll be following up with those. But had got good information and especially good contacts. One of the things that certainly was put forward in a variety of ways was the need for collaboration in communities, collaboration among various stakeholders, First Nations, various levels of government and organizations. And we've certainly been trying to do that, and we'll continue to pursue that strategy. The other was that in terms of, there was a number of talks on economics and ecological economics. And it was pointed out that we really can't achieve sustainability in our communities by pursuing our current mode of economics. If we keep doing business as usual, we will never get there. And when we were going through all the bylaws about adjusting rates for water and sewer and recycling and so on, I was just reflecting back on the little outage we had, when was that, on Saturday, and how, we're talking about hydro there, but suddenly when one of these factors is missing, like electricity, how your life just kind of winds down. You go out on the street and you can't shop anywhere because everybody's relying on electricity. And think of if our sewer system wasn't working, or if it reached capacity, or if we had to really go on to water rationing, it would make a tremendous difference in our lifestyle, in our community's economic future, and so on. So that's why we are concerned about sustainability in all its aspects, whether it's economic, social, financial, whatever. So when we talk about it a lot, and we pursue going to these seminars to get new ideas and find out what others are doing, definitely it's not only an ultimate goal, but it's a very, very crucial goal for us. So that's my report.
Great, thanks, Councillor Ryan. I guess that brings up my closing act. I'll try to close it very quickly. I attended the Building Sustainable Communities. It was my 5th time there. I walked away wondering, every time I go, I come away energized with new information. I actually presented up there as part of a panel, and I facilitated one of the sessions. Again, I come away with all that information, and you feel so good, and I'm going, gee, if only I could feel that good after a Union of BC Municipalities conference in September. Well, I'd really be doing something. So again, well worthwhile, and it's good to have council there, and we all went to different sessions and all came away with a completely different perspective on it. Okanagan Basin Water Board meeting in Penticton tomorrow. This is a rotating meeting, Vernon, Kelowna, Penticton, at the Regional District Office. They're open meetings. Anybody ever wants to go and see what the Okanagan Basin Water Board's all about, this is as close as it's going to get. On Wednesday, I'm kind of excited. I'm going to sit it, Southern Interior Development Initiative Trust. This was the new board I got appointed onto. It's got $50 million of revolving money out there, federal government money, that does a whole bunch of different business catalyst initiatives on the Southern Interior. It does grants and loans and non-repayable loans and things like that. So this is all a learning curve for me, so I'm quite excited about that. I guess the main excitement has to be Hockeyville. How good is that to be whittled down to the 15 in Canada? We're certainly gonna make the final 5. There's just no doubt in my mind that we're not gonna make the final 5. And it's interesting, while I was at meetings today, I just had a look at an email from a Kelowna radio station. I'm not gonna identify it. And he was asking if I could set some time aside for a talk about Hockeyville, which I didn't get to do. I didn't see this till just now. But he's going, wondering how far $100,000 would go in Osoyoos in the Sun Bowl Arena. I'm wondering how your small community can beat West Kelowna, as it goes looking for the money as well, to tweak a few things they want to improve in their multi-million-dollar Royal LePage Place. So, and I guess why I get excited about things like Hockeyville is I know people have heard me get excited about small town, rural British Columbia, the Beyond Hope communities. Well, I also get excited about small town Canada communities. And it's these small communities, hopefully it's going to be a small community that picks up that $100,000. Hopefully it's going to be Osoyoos. But it's so darn neat to go out there with that kind of money and the hockey game, like the preseason hockey game in town. I mean, how good is that? So this is truly a Canadian endeavor. It only happens here, and we should be just really appreciative of it. Again, online, you're online right up there, real easy, and you can just multiple vote. The thing keeps coming up, vote again, you push the button, you transcribe 4 little letters and hit the register, and you can do 50 votes in 5 minutes without any trouble. So I hope everyone is going to sit there and vote an awful lot Tuesday at midnight. And the number down here, the 1-800 number, it's 888, I believe. I can't read it from this side, but 866, thank you. You dial into that number, and there's a voice comes on. It just tells you which community. You hit 14, and that is Osoyoos. And then there's a registration, 2-digit registration number at the end. You punch that out, and it tells you that your vote has been recorded. And if we can just keep at that for the next couple of days, Tuesday midnight, it's all done, and then we'll be heading for the final 5. It kind of sounds like Survivor or something. So anyway, do vote. Let's pull together. It's all about Osoyoos. So, Councillor Ryan.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I noticed on the website it's 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So that would put it 3 hours earlier here.
Oh, Eastern Time.
Yes.
Thank you for the correction. So that's 9 p.m., 8:59.
Yeah, 8:59. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I wonder if they take that into the tabulation that we're getting 3 hours less voting time.
Well, I hope they do.
And, of course, Newfoundland will get a half hour more. Okay, thanks a lot, folks. That's my report. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Ryan Plant, all in favor. Good afternoon, folks. Vote often.